Hello, my people. I'm so happy to be here with you today. My name is Eduardo Emeres, and today I had an interview with Johnny Trufinovic, uh, but it couldn't happen. It's going to happen next week, but I want to have the opportunity to talk to you because there's been so much going on. This cat, it's been so, it's like, he wants to be on camera today. So uh, I cannot not share his presence because he so wants to be here. So say hello to everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Eddie the cat. And today I want to share with you something that has been happening, uh, especially in around spirituality, but also around health. Spirituality that actually um, changes the way we feel. That is not just wishful thinking or something that feels very enlightened, but something, a spirituality that actually affects our health. And this is something that I would like to talk to you today and just kind of begin to share. This situation, I don't know if you have followed my journey, but I was diagnosed HIV positive in 2006. And from the very beginning in 2007, right after an overdose trying to kill myself, uh, I discovered a line of scientists that completely changes the perspective of what and how we think about HIV. And because of that finding in 2007, I never took medication. I never took HIV medication, although I was very symptomatic. I had every single disease that doctors prevent you from or warn you from. Um, and still, I had my own ideas on how to deal with my health. And that those ideas were about finding about my true potential. Yes, it's very easy and convenient, and it's just easy to go to the doctors and get a medication. It's true. I think this cat. It's true. But I think it is a lot more powerful to find our own weaknesses and vulnerabilities inside and find the way to transform it into strengths. And that is what I've been doing in the last few years. Now, I'm not going to say that I never took medication, because I actually took medication in 2016 and took medication for about 3 years, although following only a very limited um, way of taking the medication, because I was only taking half of the diagnosis. Sorry, it's half of the doses. So since then, I stopped the medication in 2020, last year during the pandemic. And I began a journey of understanding my emotions, understanding my mind. That kind of the result of many years of working with myself, working with the traumas of the past, working with insecurities of the future, working with all the symptoms that I was having and making those symptoms like a roadmap that guided me through a new reality of myself, of how do I want to live my life, of who I want to be. And and that journey took me to today, to coming here and share with you something that I discovered in the last 24 hours. I mean, it has been like crazy because that was something that truly helped me work with, in my case, depression. I don't know if you have ever suffered from depression or if you have an idea of how depression feels. But in my case, it has been like a black void that lives within my heart, that it doesn't matter how much I manage to to change and transform, this black void, like a black hole, begins to suck all the energy and all the life and all the joy, and comes to a point when I feel like, no, this is not worth it. This is this it loses meaning. Life loses meaning, and I begin to question absolutely everything. And those questioning brought me to a unique perspective that I never, well, actually, I did kind of came across about in 2010, but it's so new because this is when I finally understood, and this is a concept that I would like to put, that I want to share with you. And this concept is of the emotions of the soul. I How does that sound? I mean, the emotions of the soul. Have you ever considered that as you have your ego consciousness and you have your body consciousness, and you know that you have your higher consciousness, but do you think that your higher consciousness could have emotions, could have its own way of communication with itself and with the rest of the team, that meaning our mind and our body, and therefore with the surroundings? This is a very new concept that came to me the first time in 2010 or 9, 2009. That was when I had pneumonia for, I believe, the first or the second time. And I remember going to hospital because I couldn't breathe. And the moment I got into hospital, I began to feel better as soon as I was on the doctor's care. Before medication, before I was even put on my on my own room, before I was connected to a ventilator, before anything happened, I began to feel better simply because I was under someone's care and feeling supported with that care. And that, I remember, created a big question mark. Like, why I mean, if I'm feeling that I cannot breathe, and doctors have told me that this situation is because of the HIV, and it's because people with HIV are supposed to have, or not supposed, but it's very common that they suffer with PC pneumonia. And it is like a very mechanical thing. So how can you switch the realities by simply changing the way you feel? That was my first realization. Like, how could I feel better without even any medication, simply by feeling protected and guided? And that idea baffled me. I went with the medication. I went into I was admitted into hospital. And but the realization of me getting better simply by the idea of being supported and cared for continued to feel like there is something here. Like, it was like this thread that I wanted to keep pulling. And And I remember when I came out of hospital, I did all my meditations and I was like, I need to find out what. And I remember at that time, it was the first time that said that in one of my meditations came the idea of that sadness connects very deeply to the sadness of the soul. It's not about your mind and your past. It's not about this lifetime where you can look back and say, oh shit, my life has been just terrible and there has been so much abuse and trauma and blah, 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 blah. No, that sadness, especially for the PC pneumonia, in my case at least, connects with the sadness of the soul. And I was like, a sadness of the soul. How the hell the soul is going to be sad about? I mean, and obviously I went into meditation and I had my issues and I wanted to find out. And the answer that came was, well, this sadness of the soul connects with its inability to express itself in its full potential. And that just clicked in the right place. You know, you were like, wow, I can imagine that if I have a soul that knows it can shine bright like a sun, like a star in the universe, and it's being limited and suppressed by beliefs, by traumas, by society, by the way we think of ourselves, by the way we allow ourselves to express, and all those limitations. I can imagine. I mean, I put myself as if I could embody my own soul and think, yes, I can understand how limiting and how frustrating that must feel. But back then, that was all that mattered. That was all that I could uh, make sense of. And my journey continued. But I always had that issue with my breathing. Regardless of what treatment or situation in my life I was going through, breathing and respiratory issues like bronchitis, or if I had a cold, it would last me for months. That was always the issue, especially when every time I stopped my HIV medication, I will feel like somebody took a rock under my feet and I will begin to fall. I will feel like whatever meditation, whatever good habits, whatever good stuff I was bringing into my life, diets and supplements and everything, there was this tiny hole that would let everything go. And I will feel like I was losing ground. But then this is where it becomes kind of interesting. Last night, well, I had this issue of feeling kind of depressed and lack of energy. And on Wednesday, when I had my Tappilini program with my mother live again, I mean, you can watch it, but it was in Spanish. On that program, I wanted to talk about ingratitude. And because I realized that there was a part of me that was very ungrateful, that it didn't matter how beautiful my home was and how much I had all my needs covered, I still was like, whatever. And there was a part of me that was just totally ungrateful for all the things that I have, and including the health, the strength, the enthusiasm, the good job, the nice home. I mean, whatever. The intelligence, the clarity, the good sleep. I mean, there was so many things to be grateful, and I couldn't see it. I could see it, but I couldn't feel it. So on Wednesday, when I began working with Tappilini, and I was working with my mother online. I also went deep into it. I was like, okay, I'm an ungrateful bastard, and I need to find out why it feels. Because if I just go, oh, I'm so grateful for this, I'm so grateful for that, yes, but it feels like homeopathic medicine. I mean, I'm sure it's doing some good, but I don't feel it like powerfully. And I needed to find out. And I said, okay, you know something, guys? Talking to my to my inner selves and my master souls or spirit guides. And I said, I need to find out what the f is going on right now. So I began looking into Akashic records. I used to have a meditation that I used to do many years ago, a guided meditation. And that was always very kind of visual and it helped me, but I never got any answers. So I went through different sources and I have an app called Insight. I don't know if you have it, but if you don't have it, you have to look for it uh, because it has a lot of insight. It has a lot of guided meditations. It has a lot of relaxing, calming music, and it's completely free. And it's wonderful and amazing. So I would recommend that you go to this app and download it. And on that app, I found different meditations for the Akashic records. I don't know if you know what the Akashic records are. Records, yes. Well, the Akashic records are this library of information that has all everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen beyond time and space. And I never kind of understood it because I never actually felt any true benefit from all this idea of the Akashic records, because I went many times trying to get answers on that guided meditation that I was doing, and I was getting absolutely nothing. I mean, it was very relaxing and it felt very good, and I had this idea and how the meditation developed, but I was not getting any insights. However, on Wednesday I began doing these meditations on the Insight app, and all about the Akashic records and asking questions. And my question back then was, why I'm so ungrateful? What is the origin? What is the source of my ingratitude? I need to know. I need to know because I don't like it. I don't like to feel this way, but there is something that feels very deep and engraved. It feels beyond anything that I can consciously switch off. It feels like it goes beyond my mind. And during this exploration, I discovered that the ingratitude connected with my soul. And that was a concept that felt like, okay, I can understand it. I can understand it. I can understand the feelings, because I always had a feeling that I didn't belong in this world, and two, that I didn't want to be here. I don't know. I mean, this has been a constant in throughout my life. From when I was a tiny kid, I felt like this is not my family. I don't belong here, and I don't want to be here. That was very, very powerful feeling. I don't belong here and I don't want to be here. And that feeling created anger. And it was like, fuck, like, "Ugh." And that made me feel very rebellious. And it made me feel very ungrateful. And it made me feel very, um, I don't know how to put it, but just like disconnected, disengaged. And and obviously throughout my life there's always been this feeling of it doesn't matter how good life is, it always feels like it's shit, or like I could just simply let it go, like I have zero attachment, because it's like, well, it's not good enough, not good enough. Now, this is a part that you may or may not connect with, but I had a near death experience in 2012. And in that 2012 NDE, uh, that that experience, I don't know if you know what an NDE is. It's a near death experience. Let me put it here. So, sorry. I need to wear my glasses. Okay, an NDE is a near death experience, and and on that occasion, I had a massive journey. I mean, I was connected to a ventilator during 9 days, and I was diagnosed with influenza, the N1H1 virus. I had PCP pneumonia, and I was diagnosed as a terminal AIDS patient. So I had those three things. So I was like, there was no chance that I was going to come back. And I was 9 days in an induced coma. And during those 9 days, I had a journey. And I'm not going to tell you about the whole journey because it's a long journey. I made a video that you can check on my YouTube channel. Uh, but during that journey, I had I had a lot of information being downloaded to me or through me. And the main pieces of information were about how did I feel outside my body. How did I feel? Because during that journey I was very close to cross the threshold. And I had already separated from my body. I had a lot of information that made especially this lifetime very clear, like why the pain, why the abuse, what were the lessons learned, what was the reasons and the purposes of all that pain, and everything just became very clear about this lifetime. And I had also the opportunity to experience how it feels to be connected with source. And the experience was beyond anything you can imagine. Because if you could imagine it right now, you would probably be like having an ecstasy and having an orgasm, because it feels like a massive orgasm of existential orgasm. You feel the bliss, you feel the love, you feel the guidance, you feel the omnipresence, and not about God. You feel the omnipresence of your own being. You feel that you are everywhere. You feel that you are not limited by your body, but that as you can feel your fingers and you know that your fingers are here, you could feel yourself in every corner, well, there were no corners, but in everywhere in that space. And that was one. And the other aspect was about being able to not being pulled by gravity, not feeling heavy, not feeling that something is pulling you down, But on the opposite, it was about freedom. It was about freedom. That freedom of movement, of choice, of thought. By thinking, you would do, change, transform. It was just magical. So I could imagine that from that experience, coming into the limitations of the mind and the body, it can be quite frustrating. So in the last 24 hours, when I came to this realization of my soul is sad and my soul feels frustrated and my soul needs acknowledgement of its pain and my soul needs to be comforted, like we all do it at all aspects. But when our mind needs some comforting, we either distract ourselves and entertain ourselves. When our body needs comforting, well, we sometimes have those massages or a bath or sex. Well, that probably comforts absolutely every aspect of ourselves. But um, the soul has, or yesterday at least, it came to me that the soul has the same needs that needs to be acknowledged and it needs to be comforted, especially when it doesn't have the opportunity to express itself in its full potential. That was the piece of information that truly and totally transformed my perspective of my own existence. And remember that little hole that I told you that I felt like there was like a little hole at the bottom of my soul or my body or my heart, that regardless of how good my experience was, all the joy just escaped through there. And there was always this constant feeling of, I don't want to be here. And I could very easily check out at any point. Well, in the last 24 hours, that kind of feeling has disappeared. And this is something that I wanted to share with you. Because if you have been like an indigo an indigo child, that has come to this world feeling like you were brought to serve a purpose more than to simply discover about yourself or enjoy your life. Like you came here, you were brought here, like you didn't belong, or your parents weren't your parents, or that you just felt like you were not fitting in, and the whole world just felt like a very strange and dangerous place. Well, then you might connect with this experience that I had about how the soul feels. And I had another vision that I want to share with you. This was about a young child or young adult, 13, 14 years old, probably on the 20s, 1920s, 1910s, about that time, and he was having a beautiful life with his family. He was loved, he was happy, he was healthy, he was just enjoying his life. And suddenly, somebody, a government, decided to go to war, decided to go to war, And this guy, this boy, was taken out of his home and enlisted and sent to war. In this war, he needed to kill, and he needed to push himself in the line of fire. And and that image resembles a lot of how I feel my soul feels about being in a very peaceful, beautiful, loving place. And suddenly, just because there is a mess somewhere, we need to we need to go and do our duty. And that boy back in time who went to war, he didn't care about the war. He didn't believe that he was doing any good to anybody, and he wanted out. So he was a fearless, individual, not out of courage, but out of disengagement, out of not caring, out of, something, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be fighting this war, and therefore I'm going to check out on any opportunity that I have. I won't kill myself, but I will allow anything to kill me. That's not courageous. That's actually quite careless, because we are not being careful of our own life. But I could definitely connect with that feeling, because that boy ended up having his decorations. He was condecorated with a bravery star, and he was put in the place of a hero, when in reality he didn't feel like a hero, because he wasn't doing that out of courage or conviction. He was doing it trying to escape his reality, his sadness and pain. Nevertheless, to the external world, he became a hero. Within himself, he became a fake. He felt fake. And but I can understand, if we put the same story into the soul's journey, and we can imagine that a very beautiful soul who is enjoying his life in paradise suddenly needs to step into the world and fight its war. When you feel like when the soul felt like there was no need, that people could fight their own wars, and nothing would change. I can imagine that soul could feel depressed and sad and frustrated and angry and disengaged, and in many ways careless and ungrateful, and the many emotions that I have experienced, which I thought were part of the trauma of this lifetime, into my mortal brain. But in the last 24 hours, I just had this massive realization of, wow, there's a part of me that I never acknowledged, I never considered to be vulnerable, and therefore in need of acknowledgement, care, and support. So I'm going to now pass it on to you. How many times have you cared? Have you supported and acknowledged your soul as as a part of you that needs all that, not only as a giver, the soul to be the giver of care and guidance and love and abundance and all that stuff that we have been kind of told to believe, but as the possibility of it could also feel depressed. It could also feel sad. It could also feel not fulfilling its potential. And that must feel, that feels bad. That feels bad. Why? I mean, you have felt it, I have felt it, and it's not good. And it's not good. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, and how that realization has helped me to give the care, acknowledgement, and support to my soul simply by being aware of it. Everything has changed in the last 24 hours simply by being aware of that possible scenario. And I've been able to look at myself in the eyes in the mirror and go, oh, darling, I see you. I see you. I never talked to my soul. I never talked to my soul. I never had that connection. I knew it was there, but I never felt it as an equal, because it was like, for me, it was this part of me that needed nothing, wanted nothing, and it was in perfect harmony with everything, and just there, kind of awaiting, waiting for my mind to kind of connect with it, as I elevate itself, elevate my mind to that level. I never imagined that I could bring my soul to my level and embrace it and say, hey, darling, oh gosh, I can hear your words, I can hear your thoughts, I can feel your emotions. And I'm so sorry that you feel so limited. I'm so sorry that you feel so frustrated and sad. I'm so sorry that you feel that you don't belong here, and that you have felt that you just want out, and that you wait for the moment to reunite with the whole, to feel whole again. And 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 right now I may not be able to give you what you deserve and feel. It's your birthright, or your existence right, but at least I can feel you, and I can hear you, and I can see you. And at this point, I think that is enough, because we are now part of each other, and I can acknowledge you as part of me, and therefore we are truly united for the first time, and that feels wonderful. And in terms of psychology, it has given my mind that piece of information that takes away the thought or the belief that there was something wrong with me in terms of my body and mind, a trauma that had needed to be transformed, or an infection that needed to be cured, something wrong about me, that it doesn't feel true anymore. I know it's only been 24 hours, but it feels real and grounded. It feels like this seed that has been put in fertile ground and has begun to sprout almost instantly, and is making roots, and is bringing a different understanding of who we are, and that is giving me health and the desire to share this information with you. So this is what I wanted to share. I want to thank you for being part of this journey. If you want to send me a comment, please do. I'm on a live broadcast studio, and I'm supposed to see your comments live. So if you want to send me a comment, so where are you? How can what are your thoughts about what I've been sharing for the last 41 minutes? And how could you apply it to your life? How could you acknowledge your soul's emotions, thinking or imagining that the soul could have emotions? And how could you acknowledge those emotions which are separate from the emotions or the thoughts of the egoic mind, the conscious, what we think within this brain? And how does that connect with the consciousness of the body? If there is any illness, if there is any disease, if there are any invaders within the body, or if there are any threats or vulnerabilities, how could we connect with our soul and acknowledge what it may be feeling? I would invite you to ponder about that. And if you have not, I don't want to say problems, but I already said it, but if you have issues with your emotions and clarity, I'm going to invite you to visit my website, tappilini.com. Tappilini is a technology that uses tapping, or EFT, the tapping points on EFT, that works with the meridians. Uses also Kundalini, Kundalini mantra. Kundalini mantras are like musical notes that, when put together in a specific way, creates a harmony. And in this case, the harmony that we create is a transcendent harmony to elevate our experience from thought to experience, to transcend our own experience. And finally, it uses also very deep breath work. So we breathe very deeply in order to be able to repeat the mantra in the sequence that we do in Tappilini. So if you feel like you would like to know or to try something different, I'll invite you to go to www.tappilini.com with double And at the middle of the page, you will see me doing the meditation. The meditation lasts about 25 minutes because we repeat the mantra Guru Guru Vahe Guru Guru Ram Das Guru. We repeat it 5 times in one breath, 108 times. This creates a cycle and a recycle of emotions and thoughts, and allows you, thanks to the tapping, to disconnect from the fear, from the fight, flight, or freeze response of the nervous system, and be able to, and allows you to see your own experience without the attachment, the emotional attachment to them, especially the negative or the dark or the painful attachment that we can feel to our experiences. So you can also, on the website, if you see at the beginning, depending if you're in English or in Spanish, if you see, the first thing you will see is in English. Sorry. And right at the beginning, you can see a button where you can download the audio. This audio, I truly recommend that you download it, because it's a guide. It helps you to not needing to count, like Guru Guru Vahe Guru Guru Ram Das Guru, because this is the mantra. Guru Guru Vahe Guru Guru Ram Das Guru, 5 times in one breath, 108 times. It's a challenge. I've been doing this meditation for, non-stop since 2018. But I began doing tapping in 2012, and I began doing Kundalini meditation in 2009. So there's been a bit of time that I've spent doing this meditation, and it has helped me be here right now. And what I'm doing here right now is it's being healthy, feeling strong, supported, guided, connected, having all parts of me integrated to a point where we feel one. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And the three of us, mind, body, and spirit, want to thank you for your attention. We would love to hear from you. And we would like also to connect with your experience. I am doing live interviews. If you would like to share your story, please get in touch with me. Share your story. And Tappilini@gmail.com. Okay. If you want to share your story, get in touch with me. Send me a message and say, you know something, this is my story. And it can be a story about anything. It can be a story about sexual abuse or child abuse or illness or I don't know, whatever your story is. I'll invite you to get in touch so we can have a little chat. And then if you are up for it, go online live and share it with the world. The main reason of sharing these stories with everyone openly, publicly, is to share what you have discovered in your journey. If you have learned few pieces of information, if you have discovered few pieces of information that has been crucial to your healing, and you feel that those pieces of information were unique to you because nobody gave them to you, you discovered them in your own time and space, but they have created a massive change and transformation within how you feel about yourself and how you experience your life, I would invite you to share those pieces of information with everyone. And this is the intention of creating a platform for people to share their experience. And this is it. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart with all my love that you have, I mean, we have shared this time together. Thank you so much. I will I will continue doing these videos. Next week we have Johnny Trifonovich. What's what he told me? Next Saturday at 9 a.m. So be very alert. I will post it on my sites, on my social media, and you really want to hear about this guy. You really want to hear his experience, and you really want to hear how he is dealing with the lemons that the universe have given him. So that would be next week, next Saturday, 9 p.m., 9 a.m. London time. And that would be 8 p.m. in Australia. No, he's in New Zealand. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you. Sat Nam. Namaste. Hasta la próxima.